Chapter 3. Power of Assumption. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. All that befalls a man, all that is done by him, all that comes from him, happens as a result of his state of consciousness. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves, all that he believes is true and consents to. That is why a change of consciousness is necessary before you can change your outer world. Rain falls as a result of a change in the temperature in the higher regions of the atmosphere. So, in like manner, a change of circumstance happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. To be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas, for you think from your ideas. All transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. The first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. You must want to be different, and intend to be, before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. By desiring to be other than what you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be, and assume that you are already that person. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. The ideal you hope to achieve is always ready for an incarnation, but unless you yourself offer it human parentage, it is incapable of birth. Therefore, your attitude should be one in which, having desired to express a higher state, you alone accept the task of incarnating this new and greater value of yourself. In giving birth to your ideal, you must bear in mind that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. This is a point that is truly understood by probably not more than one person in a million. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it and defining it, by thinking of it, whereas you can know a thing spiritually only by becoming it, only by thinking from it. You must be the thing itself and not merely talk about it or look at it. You must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame, who, spurred with true desire, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folded his wings within, till he became one colour and one substance with the flame. He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell who ne'er to tell returned. Bird Parliament by Farid ud-Din-Attar, translated by Edward Fitzgerald, 1889, apud William Ralph Inge. Faith, personal religion, and the life of devotion. Just as the moth in his desire to know the flame was willing to destroy himself, so must you, in becoming a new person, be willing to die to your present self. You must be conscious of being healthy, if you are to know what health is. You must be conscious of being secure, if you are to know what security is. Therefore, to incarnate a new and greater value of yourself, you must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption, which is not yet incarnate in the body of your life, in confidence that this new value or state of consciousness will become incarnated through your absolute fidelity to the assumption that you are that which you desire to be. This is what wholeness means, what integrity means. They mean submission of the whole self to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, in certainty that that new state of consciousness is the renewing of mind which transforms. There is no order in nature corresponding to this willing submission of the self to the ideal beyond the self. Therefore, it is the height of folly to expect the incarnation of a new and greater concept of self to come about by natural evolutionary process. That which requires a state of consciousness to produce its effect obviously cannot be effected without such a state of consciousness, and in your ability to assume the feeling of a greater life, to assume a new concept of yourself, you possess what the rest of nature does not possess: imagination, the instrument by which you create your world. Your imagination is the instrument, the means whereby your redemption from slavery, sickness, and poverty is effected. If you refuse to assume the responsibility of the incarnation of a new and higher concept of yourself, then you reject the means, the only means, whereby your redemption, that is, the attainment of your ideal, can be effected. Imagination is the only redemptive power in the universe. However, your nature is such that it is optional to you whether you remain in your present concept of yourself, a hungry being longing for freedom, health and security, or choose to become the instrument of your own redemption, imagining yourself as that which you want to be, and thereby satisfying your hunger and redeeming yourself. Oh, be strong then and brave, pure, patient and true. The work that is yours, let no other hand do. For the strength for all need is, faithfully given, from the fountain within you, the kingdom of heaven. So man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. And I think Hinduism refers to Maya, and I think Buddhism refers to the illusionary state of the world. And as we now can see with science, there is no physical world. It is all just energy. I think most people reading, listening to this will certainly understand that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, and this physical experience is controlled by our mind. When we're born into these physical bodies, we forget our true self. We forget that we're spiritual beings. But there are plenty of stories out there. I remember reading about an Indian boy who could remember his past life, his name, where he lived, and he even remembered the person that killed him. I think it's quite a common understanding now that we are essentially spiritual beings. The world is one of energy, vibration, and the physical aspect is just an illusion. So note that Neville says a man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves, all that he believes is true and consents to. That is why a change of consciousness is necessary before you can change your outer world. So it's not that we're just changing how we think consciously, but we've got to go to a deeper level, to a subconscious level, which is where we hold our beliefs. And we need to work on that deeper underlying level of ourselves. So to be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. Well, in my mind, the basis is the subconscious. This is why affirmations, using self-hypnotherapy, is really important. We need to program our subconscious mind to behave and think what our consciousness now wants. So for example, consciously someone might want to quit smoking, but it's habitual. The subconscious is in control of it. So whilst the conscious mind has the fleeting thought, I want to stop smoking, it doesn't get through to the subconscious mind, which is why most people, when they decide they want to quit, will just crave it and crave it and crave it until they snap. Which is why hypnotherapy is so effective, because you're going straight to the subconscious mind and programming it to stop smoking. All transformation begins with an intense burning desire to be transformed. You know, that's true. You've got to want it. It's no good just doing a visualization here, an affirmation there. You've got to wholeheartedly begin your life anew. But note that Neville says if this assumption is persisted in, becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. You know, there's no ifs, ands or buts here. He is saying, this is how reality is created. This is what you have to do. There's no, it might work, it might work a little bit. It will work. It is inevitable. So I really like this. You must bear in mind that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. I mean, that is so, so true. Intellectual understanding is like one level. And when I first came across the law of attraction, intellectually, mentally, I understood it. But it wasn't until years later that I really had a realization where that spiritual level of knowledge, that inner realization, it suddenly just clicked. And I think if you keep immersing yourself in a subject like the law of attraction, the law of assumption, just watch every video, read every book. I read one of Neville's books, and intellectually I got everything that he said, but it wasn't until I'd read every book, watched multiple videos, let it sit with me for maybe a year before one day it suddenly just clicked, and I was like, oh, I get it. It wasn't that I didn't intellectually understand, I just hadn't had that deeper realization. So you do have to really saturate your mind with it until it just sinks in to a deeper level. Your imagination is the instrument, the means whereby your redemption. That's really powerful stuff there. He's really just telling us that's it. That's the only tool you need, and you have it. You create your world. Living your life unconsciously manifesting, it can all seem really hectic and coincidences, but once you realize it is all down to the way you think, your beliefs, you'll start to see when you consciously choose what you want to be thinking about, what you want to believe, you will see the difference reflected in your outer visible reality. But again, it is down to you. You have to make that choice. Am I happy with my life, or do I want something different for myself? Something different for my loved ones? If you do, then this is the path that you've got to take.